Hey, according to Harvard Division of Continuing Education, but also LinkedIn, Google, the Department of Labor, and everybody else that studies these things, they are looking at what skills employers want over the next 5, 10, 15 years. And they are all saying the same thing. They are all saying that those skills are not technical skills. That doesn't mean technical skills aren't important. Every job has its specific technical skills that are required to do those jobs, at least every job that pays anything. But I think we're all in one of these categories where we're either trying to get a job, trying to keep a job, or trying to build and promote and build that respect in a job. And all of that applies to what these studies say. The challenges or the stakes are, I guess, that tools change. Those specific skills that we learn, they change because we change the tools that we use to go about our business. Skills go stale, in other words, because we don't need them or use them anymore. Certifications, they're great. They can be awfully specific sometimes, and then again, maybe some at some point they're not necessary. And again, these all these things have a place, and they're all maybe necessary depending on the type of job that you're involved in or type of career that you're involved in. You want to look at these things. But if we have these things without the skills that, again, everybody is saying that we need to have in order to be hireable, promotable, etc., then we're kind of barking up the wrong tree. We're kind of backing ourselves into a corner. And so what Harvard calls these skills are durable skills, which is kind of funny because in the academic world and college, we call these soft skills. And I think that's just all the science people. They want to be the hard skills, right? The math and all that. Again, super important. I'm not knocking that at all. But I think, and these articles and these studies prove it, equally important are these so-called soft skills. But I like durable skills better because, again, they remain forever. They transfer from job to job to job, from position to position to position. They help grow. They help support all of those movements and changes that we're making throughout our lives. I hope we're progressing. I hope you're progressing. It's part of what this channel is about, to help you progress, to help you learn some of these durable skills. And it's things like, you know what it is. It's communication, it's critical thinking, it's collaboration, it's leadership, it's the ability to teach, it's the ability to train, it's the ability to explain things to other people. That's what it is. It's the ability to work in a team environment and get along and have people skills. See, the trap that a lot of people find themselves in is they think, I just need to learn more skills. I need to get more specific. And certainly there is a place for that. Don't misunderstand me. But that's not everything. Those skills may be important, but if you can't explain what you're doing, if you can't explain what the purpose of that skill is or what the result of that skill is, if you can't explain how that skill applies, no communication's happening. No one's able to listen to you, to understand you, to get the point of what it is that you're trying to say or you're trying to get across. They just can't. So the shift here is that we need to really stop thinking about communication as this sort of, again, soft skill kind of backside thing that you just kind of learn, right? Again, speech class or communications classes, unless you're specifically in some kind of career path that really focuses on communication, you just don't do a lot of it. You just don't study a lot of it. And it's super important. I mean, think about it. Leadership requires communication, right? Leadership, you have to have conversations with people, and sometimes very hard conversations. Problem solving requires that you explain not just your answer, not just your results, but the process that you went through to get to those results. Not everyone's going to understand what's going on in your brain. You've got to be able to explain those things in order to help them understand. Collaboration, working with other people, requires people skills. Can you get along? Can you cooperate? Can you take orders sometimes? Can you step back and let other people take charge? Can you just interact with people in a positive way? You need to really think about communication, again, not as just this sort of skill or set of skills, but think of it really as the delivery system. It's almost like the blood in your body. It has a very particular job, and that is to carry nutrients and everything to all of the cells and then carry the waste away from all those cells so that the cells can function perfectly. Another way to think about it is like the oil in your car. It makes all the parts that rub together, work together, and everything gets along. And so, 500 miles down the road, your car doesn't just lock up and seize, and you're calling for one of those tow trucks with the big flatbed. You don't want to do that. So remember, communication skills, sometimes called soft skills, I'm going to call them durable skills, just like Harvard does. I think if Harvard calls it something, I'm pretty good with that. Durable skills are important. This is what employers want. And I don't know, and I'm not going to sit here and say, well, it's generational, it's this, that, or the other. I don't know what it is. I think it's because employers realize that those are the skills, as we said a minute ago, that grease the wheels, that let everything function. They let people do what it is they do, and it lets interaction happen, and two heads are better than one, that kind of thing. And so we need to have those. So sort of the immediate and quick fix for you if you're watching this video is, I don't know, what do I do? I don't have those skills. Where do I start? Well, start here. There's one rule, and that one rule is decide on your point before you speak or before you write that email or throw out that memo, etc. Decide on your point, not the topic, not the idea, but the very specific point that you want to communicate. That automatically gets you in a mode where you can start organizing your thinking. You can have clear thinking. The challenge here is if you have no point, no real point, no specific point, then you ramble and you have no end point. You have no direction. And if there's people listening to you, they won't be for long. If you have a clear point, then you can organize your thinking. And I have other strategies to help you do that. Check out some of the other videos on this channel. There's one about 2 rules to kind of instantaneously organize your thoughts around a couple of things when you're call on it in the moment. Again, it's a lot easier when you have time to think about it. But a clear point means you can be organized and that you have a destination, that you have a point. Those 2 words maybe could go hand in hand. When you understand what your point is, then you will get there, and you will get there very quickly. And the result of that is clarity. People will understand what you're talking about. And the great thing about having those kinds of durable skills, even very rudimentary or simple ones, they can always be increased like any other skill. They can be learned, they can be taught, they can be developed, and we all need to. If these studies are telling us anything, it's that these skills are super important. So what happens is this translates across everything. Much like the blood or the oil in your car, it covers or touches everything. Job interviews, communication skills, durable skills, meetings, durable skills, emails, memos, durable skills, presentations, durable skills, HR issues, challenges with employees and so on. That's communication skills. It's interpersonal skills. All of these are sets of skills that are interrelated. So you're in sales, you need to do customer service. These are all skills that translate. I used to work for a guy. He got hired after me, and he was kind of my boss, but that didn't last very long. And he got paid a lot more than I did at the time, which kind of made me angry. But he got hired because he was this expert in some kind of programming, blah, blah, blah. And you know what he couldn't do? He could not deal with our customers. He could not handle going into a doctor's office and talking to our customers and troubleshooting equipment. He couldn't deal with the secretaries and the doctors themselves, and they can be tough to deal with. He couldn't handle that, and he didn't like it. And so that all fell to me. And guess who stayed with the company for 12 years? And guess who stayed with the company for 6 months? I never did quite make as much as that guy made, though, so I'm not sure what was going on. But in any case, the communication skills that I already possessed then, which were okay, they're nowhere near as good as they are now, but they were better than this guy who was legitimately some kind of programming expert, but that position just didn't work for him because he couldn't handle communicating with people. He could communicate with other kind of tech people, but beyond that, he was lost. And so, it cost him a job. It cost him a fair amount of money. It cost him, I think, really a piece of the company. The thing is, most people, many people, I don't know if it's most or many, but in my experience, a lot of people, many people just really don't have this skill. But the thing is, it's not something you're born with or not. It's something you learn to do. So a lot of it is nurture, not nature, I think, in this case. And so we can learn to do it. We can learn to increase in all the different areas. And there are a lot of different areas of communication one might talk about. But back to the point, employers want people who have these skills because they know those people, they also have, whatever the specific technical skills they need for that particular position, that those people are solid. And again, hiring process is never perfect, but they'll have a lot more confidence that a person who has communication skills can do the job better than someone who can't or who doesn't. So, what do we do with that? I want you to look at this video as information to file away in the back of your mind. This is something that is important to just about every employer. Again, Harvard, LinkedIn, Google, Department of Labor, just Monster, you name it. All of these things that have to do with jobs and employment, they'll tell you. I was even looking at one. It was a Department of Disability and so on. And they were saying the same thing. There's all kinds of sources out there. It's really easy to find them. And they're telling us that these skills matter and are super important. So I'm here to help you learn those things. I've got a little track that you can download. It's called Track, TRACK. I have a whole video on that also. But if you will just go to the link below in the description and you give me your email, you'll be on a mailing list. I promise you won't get buried with a million emails, but you will get a link to a free PDF called Track that I wrote. And by the way, there's a much bigger version on Amazon. You can look it up there, but you can get the free version, which basically explains it. And then there's a video on here that also explains it a little bit. Download that below, and then turn your attention to another video on here that's about clear thinking, or thinking clearly before you speak. That elaborates on some of the points that we've made here. But remember, those so-called soft skills are not so soft anymore. They're durable skills. They're skills that you need if you want to thrive in just about every work environment there is, or if you're working for yourself especially.